Hi, Adrian from Lucat Photography here, and I am here today to have a chat with Tamara, just in regards to finding suppliers. How do you choose your suppliers? Because there's such a massive range out there, and just, you know, it can just be an absolute mess.
Crazy times.
So, Tamara, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I run a company called Snapdragon Events. Some people might say part of me is snapped, the rest of me is dragon. Generally, we look after, obviously, the big bridal expo at Panthers. I've been doing that for 16 years.
Right.
It's a big passion of mine to ensure that people's events turn out to be the fairy tale they want it to be.
Fantastic.
Apart from that, I do some private consulting and helping people organise their weddings and that sort of thing. But, you know, generally, let them do it themselves. It's much more fun.
Fantastic. That's really cool. So, for someone who's planning their wedding,
Yep.
as we said, there is so much range out there. There's so many people within the wedding space. So, where do you start? What suppliers are most critical? What suppliers would you recommend booking and looking into first?
Look, the very first thing you need to do is, if you've decided when you're going to get married, you've got a time span around about, is obviously your venue. Because nothing's going to happen if you don't have somewhere to have your wedding.
Yeah.
So you need to note those choices, whether you're getting married in a church or in a garden, down by the water, etc. And then where that reception's going to be. If you're like myself and you like the laid back kind of cool thing, we had a church wedding with a lunch. It was very easy to book in because not many people are using venues at lunchtimes. Becoming very popular these days to run weddings on Friday nights, even Thursdays I've heard of lately, so that they can sort of capitalise on that cheaper experience. But without your venue, you're not going to have a wedding.
Yeah, definitely.
From that, probably your second most important would be your photographer. I suppose there's two ways I look at weddings. The first thing is, what do you have to have? Because of course we're having a wedding, we're getting married, we're doing all this sort of thing. How's it going to happen? But then there's the other side of the coin as well. What do I need to spend the most money on? What's really important? I have a little bit of a twisted view on that. Lunch is important, dinner's important, the venue's great, church is pretty. But at the end of the day, when you're married and it's all over, there's only really a few key things that matter. What you look like. So if you're going to spend $2,500 on your dress, don't put him in a $50 suit. So many people do that. They quibble about how much they're going to spend on the groom's suits, but you've just spent thousands on the bride's dress. The ring on your finger, because like me, 18 years later, you're still going to be wearing it and you want to hope it lasts. And the photographer, the most important of all things, because without those photos, you have nothing to remember that day. And that day goes so quickly.
It does. It really does.
If you don't have those valued moments treasured in a photo, then you've got nothing to look back on.
Yeah, definitely.
So
now I will just put a preface in here. I didn't brief Tamara to say
no,
that.
You know, the funny thing is, when I got married, I didn't know my photographer from bar or soap. I was very blessed. He was a lucky guy. Of course, he got to spend the day with me. But my photography was absolutely incredible. And I will admit, my husband and I paid for the photography. My mum and dad paid for our reception. And we scraped every cent we had to put into having a beautiful album, something precious we could hold on to. These days you get digital and all those sorts of things as well. We didn't have that. But I'm so glad we did, because without that, 18 years later, now that I have teenage children, I'd have nothing to show them. You know, and what I wore and the ring on my finger. Apart from that, lunch was gone.
That's right.
You know?
It goes so quick today, doesn't it?
It sure does.
So fast. So when people are actually looking for their suppliers, I mean, myself as a photographer, I get this all the time. The first thing people ask is about price.
That's society's thinking. Okay, very simply, the very first thing we are taught is best value for money. I'm going to turn that on its head. The very simple fact that I say is, if you want high quality, don't go to McDonald's. Now, if you go to a restaurant and you were served up a McDonald's hamburger, you'd be upset.
Yep.
If you went to McDonald's, well, apart from what they're doing lately, you probably wouldn't expect to be treated like you were in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So you really do need to look at that. You know, yes, it's important to get value for money, blah, blah, blah. But remember, guys, this is your wedding. You only get to do it once. You get to do it properly. And, you know, sometimes it's more about, how do I feel? Having run the exhibition for so many years, my greatest piece of advice to suppliers like yourself is always that people will make a relationship first with you, second with your photography.
Yeah.
They may ask what the price is, but the difference here is that you're going to be spending a lot of time in my face on that day. If I don't like you, then it's not worth having you around.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's really important. Make sure you ask people where they're from, who they are, how they've run their business. Get to know them a little bit so that you understand what you're getting yourself into. Price is important, but it's not the key factor, I don't believe.
Yeah.
You, in a lot of cases, do get what you pay for. But just remember, if you want champagne, don't expect to pay for water.
Yeah.
It is very, very cut and dry as far as that's concerned.
Okay. Yeah, that's some really, really good advice. So what happens if someone really likes the look of the supplier? And we've just talked about, you know, wanting champagne but wanting to pay for water. Someone really likes the look of a supplier. Maybe they're right in the middle of their budget range, exactly what they're looking for, but they're not 100% sure about the credibility of the supplier. What should they do? What can they do to find out if...
You know, we live in a fantastic world now compared to when I got married. It's called social media. At the end of the day, you need to go out and find out as much as you can about these people. I always believe my first protocol was what we used to call the golden referral. So for a supplier such as yourself, you have Jessie here as your bride and this is the wedding. Prospectively, there are another 6 weddings within that group of friends within the next 2 years. Because let's face it, we all go to school together, we get engaged around about the same time, we all get married around about the same time, we start popping out children and doing all those sorts of things, and one day we'll all have our 50th together. So your golden referrals are really important. It doesn't so much work for a venue because obviously you don't want to have your wedding at the same place your friend did. However, photographers, videographers, people who have done suits, dresses, flowers, makeup, those sorts of things, rely on the credibility that your friends do or don't give you. Sometimes you need to ask because, you know, the simple fact is these days in the world we live in, if I see a bad movie, I tell 10 people. If I see a good movie, sometimes I'm lucky to tell 1. So it's no different with your photography or Jessie's flowers or, you know, Kate's makeup service over here. The simple fact is that people aren't going to tell you unless you ask them. So start with your friends. Talk to people who live in the same circles, work in the same circles, get married about the same time as yourself, and then go on to social media. There's, you know, most people on their Facebook pages these days, on their websites, they have testimonials. Yeah, sure, we can all say maybe they'll only put on there what they want you to see. But that's not necessarily true. You know, the rating systems on a lot of these things these days, they have the opportunity for people to say bad things if they need to. And it works, you know, but trust your gut.
I think that's a
because at the end of the day, if I like you and you're going to be in my face, then, you know, I need to trust my gut.
Yeah, definitely. If it doesn't feel right,
it's probably not.
It's probably not. Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. So, is there any sort of general advice that you would have for a couple that are planning their wedding at the moment?
It shouldn't be hard.
Okay.
That's the biggest key in this, is it really shouldn't be hard. Yes, we want the fairy tale. Yes, we want this, we want that. But it shouldn't be such a hard process. I say to people, sit down with your partner, who, by the way, let's hope you're marrying your best friend, because I did. You know, at the end of the day, I believe that a strong marriage is built on friendship, communication and honesty. And therefore sit down with a piece of paper and say, what are your expectations of the wedding? What is it that you want? What is it that I want? Put it down on paper. That way you've started with a list that is comprehensive. You started with a list that is honest, and you can work from there. It should be a simple process. If working with a certain supplier is hard, then it's wrong.
Yeah.
If it's difficult, well, it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, trust your gut, get in there and just enjoy it. Because if you have an amazing day, but you've had to be bridezilla to get there, it's not the memory you want to look back on.
Yeah, definitely. Weddings are all about celebrating with your family and friends.
Well, that's right. And you know, that should be a process that starts at the beginning and goes right through to when you get to sit down and watch the videos and look at your photos afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, and remember, don't cut your family out.
Mm.
And it may be a very personal thing I'm saying here. And I know we all have those mother-in-laws or father-in-laws that think they know everything. But it really is a family thing. And this is the one day for you to share with your family. And we don't have family forever.
Yeah.
So grab it, enjoy it, get married, and God bless you, last forever.
Fantastic. Well, that's all we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you've got some really great stuff out of this. Don't forget, Leucad Photography does have very, very special offers at the moment for all the expo, for all our expo contacts. So make sure you jump on, give us a call, and we would love to have the opportunity to really make your wedding an amazing experience. And as Tamara just said, we do everything we can to make it as simple and easy for you as possible.
And if you're not getting married for over 12 months, come back and check the expo out again next
Yes, For Eternity Bridal Expo. Have we got
18th
dates?
and 19th of June 2016.
Fantastic. There you go. A little bit of a plug there. I like it. Fantastic. Well, Tamara, thank you so much for your time today. And I look forward to seeing you at the expo again next year. And I look forward to seeing all of you through the viewfinder of my camera. Enjoy. Have a great day. Bye.